Venerable Chair and Co-Chair of the session, Excellencies, Most Venerable Buddhist monks, scholars, as well as the participants in the conference. It is my privilege to share and present my view on global Hindu-Buddhist initiative on conflict avoidance and environment consciousness. I would rather present my personal, individual view and share with you all. As a former Buddhist monk, I was able to study to some extent the great ancient scholars' works, especially from the Nalanda tradition, Nagarjuna, the Middle Path, which taught me a lot and gave me insightful ideas without falling into extremes, finding perfect balanced way for the middle path. And my childhood was in 1970s, where Mongolia was a communist country in Central Asia, and there was no freedom of religion, and a very limited practice of Buddhism. However, if you look at the history of the introduction of Buddhism to Mongolia, about 2,000 years ago, through Central Asia, Buddhism was introduced to nomadic Mongols. And that's the time that the nomadic people of Mongolia, it's the very first time, encountered the philosophy as well as the teachings of the Lord Buddha. And thanks to the democratic changes that took place in early 1990s, the people of Mongolia were able to regain and revive its faith, which I may refer as Buddhism. And for the last 25 years, Mongolia and India, the people of Mongolia and the people of India, were able to establish very unique political, cultural relations, and the basis of which was Buddhism, and the values and the philosophy of Buddhism. And that's why last May this year, Sri Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of India, when he paid official visit, state visit to Mongolia, he mentioned two important aspects of this unique bilateral relations. One was Buddhism, the other was democracy. There are not many countries that enjoy this type of special relations, because Mongolia is a nation of only 3 billion people, where India is a nation of 1.3 billion. So diverse, so huge compared to Mongolia in many respects. However, both countries and both people have been enjoying very unique relationship, once again, based on common religious heritage, plus democratic principles. Therefore, this relationship has been continuing as strong as that we can see today the number of representatives in Mongolia are not only enjoying this conference, but at the same time learning a lot on avoiding conflict and raising environment consciousness. These two issues are indeed beyond the borders issue. So this is the right theme of the conference. It's called Global Initiative. Global Initiative requires global perspective and does require global values. Even though we are very diverse, very different, we live in a very diverse and very different societies. In order to avoid conflict, in order to raise environmental consciousness, what we have to do is, again, find the right way to create good education for peace, which again based on ideology and philosophy, because at the early age of human development, you cannot teach young children very complicated philosophical aspects. Education has a different stages of reaching out different levels of people in a different society. So therefore, at this conference, I'm very much enjoying the different views and different perspectives that venerable monks sharing, as well as the scholars coming up, and the senior public officials suggesting, all of which again goes back to the core of education. We can't just think of ourselves without thinking the future generation. This process needs to carry important message to the youth. Have to carry on this, and from early ages have to learn to avoid any types of conflict at the individual level, maybe at the organizational level, national level, regional level, perhaps at the global level. Going back to the second theme of the conference, environment consciousness. This is very, very important. It concerns everybody. And this definitely reminds me of one of the core teachings of the Lord Buddha, interdependent origin, interdependent existence. The whole world and its phenomena is so strongly interdependent on one another. We cannot ignore it. At the same time, try to avoid conflict. At the same time, try to protect and preserve the environment. I think it's all about here as well as here, the mind and heart. So therefore, again, the education comes first. And then when we, again, taking an example of the nomadic Mongols, the nomadic way of life naturally forced to realize the nature and its unique aspects of living in harmony. So therefore, the Mongols were able to learn that from early stages, to live in harmony with the nature, but not trying to take over the nature and its related phenomena. And the one more aspect that I would like to highlight at this conference, as a student of the Buddhist studies, I think that the Lord Buddha has taught us one more special teaching, which is building inner peace. Without inner peace, we cannot positively affect the person sitting next to you and cannot freely communicate with others what you think. I think peace starts from yourself, within oneself, without which every attempt we do will either be just an act. We need to seriously think of finding a better and more effective way of developing dialogues. Again, perhaps at the family level, at the organizational level, at the national level, the global level. What we definitely lack is having effective dialogue at all levels. So therefore, I'm very pleased, once again, to exchange my views at this conference with all of you, very distinguished scholars, eminent monks, as well as senior officials, those who work in the government. I would like to highlight once again education, friendship, and dialogue for peace, as well as